intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this, that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Karoline Leavitt and Kaitlan Collins are back at it, and things just got intense. Leavitt delivered one of the sharp...
Karoline Leavitt and Kaitlan Collins are back in the spotlight, and things just took a dramatic turn. In one of the boldest and most direct exchanges we've seen at a White House press briefing in quite some time. Leavitt didn't hold back, as Collins pressed hard with tough questions about the Trump administration's stirring controversy along the way. Leavitt stood her ground, firing back with sharp, unflinching responses. Every tense moment was captured, and trust us, you won't want to miss this showdown. Buckle up, it's a fiery one.
This. Director Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate Intelligence Community, including the acting chair at the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement that he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
Kaitlan opened the exchange by pressing on why. Tulsi Gabbard stepped forward with serious allegations against Barack Obama. If you're trying to make sense of the bigger picture, here's what's happening. Obama is under intense scrutiny, and it looks like Kaitlan is trying to shift the spotlight away from him. Her approach: target Tulsi and redirect the narrative. But Gabbard wasn't rattled. Instead, she seized the moment, flipped the script, and called out both the story and the figure behind it. Her bold, no-nonsense response is what truly turned heads.
So I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
Kaitlan came in ready to press Tulsi Gabbard, but things didn't go her way. Tulsi immediately called out a major error. Kaitlan had mixed up the Senate Intelligence Committee with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, two entirely separate agencies with distinct roles. It was a noticeable slip, and Tulsi wasn't about to let it slide. Getting fact-checked like that on a national stage, that's a tough hit. But it didn't end there. Tulsi handed things off to Karoline Leavitt, who piled on with even more pressure. Period. It was a rough exchange for Kaitlan, and one you'll want to watch unfold.
That has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this, that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Karoline Leavitt delivered another sharp rebuttal, this time directly targeting Kaitlan Collins. The clash centered on Kaitlan's attempt to frame Marco Rubio's comments as an admission that Russia had successfully infiltrated the U.S. to sow division, and that it somehow tied back to Trump. But that's not what Rubio said. He never mentioned any collusion between Russia and Trump, and Leavitt wasn't about to let the misrepresentation slide. She came armed with the facts, corrected the record in real time, and exposed what she called a deliberate spin. It was a commanding moment that showed Leavitt isn't just playing defense. She's taking the lead and aggressively pushing back against what she views as distorted narratives. And judging by her tone, she's only getting started.
Also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign.
That took real grit. Karoline Leavitt stood firm and didn't pull any punches during the press briefing. She called out the media outlets that once treated the Steele dossier as unquestionable factwit, properly fact-checking or digging deeper. At the time, the dossier was everywhere. Headline news, political panels, late-night monologues, driving dramatic speculation about Trump and Russia. Instead of cautious reporting, many networks jumped on sensational narratives that dominated the news cycle, but when the truth finally emerged, the dossier turned out to be largely unverified and politically charged. The result? The media was left looking sloppy, if not downright embarrassed. Leavitt didn't let that moment fade into history. She brought it back front and center, and she made sure the message landed.
Your second question, Kaitlan, I think, who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet. And it is not worth.
Karoline Leavitt delivered another pointed response, reinforcing her reputation as one of the most assertive and effective press secretaries to take the White House podium. This time, the heat came from CNN's Kaitlan Collins, who questioned whether Tulsi Gabbard had released damaging information about Barack Obama as a tactic to regain favor with President Trump. But Leavitt shut it down immediately. She firmly stated that Tulsi never said, suggested, or implied anything of the sort. According to Leavitt, the claim wasn't grounded in fact. It was just another effort from the left to sow division within Trump's circle. Calm and composed, she broke down the facts point by point, and the exchange clearly left Kaitlan on the defensive. It was one of the most tense and revealing moments in a press briefing. Yet and absolutely one to watch. Karoline.
Just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this.
Leavitt wrapped up the exchange with one of her most decisive moments, yet a sharp, unmistakable response that cut through the noise. She addressed what many have suspected for years, a consistent pattern of media distortion aimed at undermining Donald Trump. At the center of it all was an 8-second, heavily edited video of Tulsi Gabbard testifying on U.S. policy in Iran. A journalist presented the clip to Trump, seemingly trying to provoke controversy. But Trump's reaction was measured. He simply pointed out that the snippet lacked context and didn't reflect Tulsi's full remarks. No drama, no fallout. That didn't stop multiple media outlets from spinning the story, suggesting Trump was turning on Gabbard.